HaKadosh Baruch Hu Masechet Yevamot Daf Kuf Yud Gimel Amud Aleph. So the Gemara is going to ask on the top line, Umay Shna Ketana de'achla bitruma, Umay Shna Chereshet de'la achla bitruma. If you remember, we said that a Chereshet and a Ketana is on the same level. The Chereshet was deaf mute, so the wedding is only the Rabbanan. A Ketana is a minor. The wedding is also the Rabbanan. So we said, why is it that only a Ketana could do miyun and not a Chereshet? So he said, but if not, then what's going to happen is that a Chereshet, if she could always do miyun, nobody would ever get married to her. But a Ketana, people get married to her because once she becomes older, after Bat Mitzvah, she can't do miyun anymore. She can't renounce the marriage. So says the Gemara, what's the reason why a Ketana Yitoma, if the mother or brother gets married to a Kohen, even though it's only a marriage to Rabbanan, she's allowed to eat Truma. And why is it that a Chereshet that gets married to a Kohen cannot eat Truma? Because it's only a marriage to Rabbanan. So what's the difference between the Ketana and the Chereshet that a Ketana could eat Truma? Remember, she's a Bat Yisrael. She gets married to a Kohen. She's allowed to eat Truma. But if she's a Chereshet that gets married to a Kohen, she's not allowed to eat Truma. Why? The Tanam was learned to the Mishnah. Rabbi Yochanan came and he testified two different testimonies. That first of all, that a Chereshet, that she gets married through the father, right? When she's a Ketana. So here it's very interesting. Here the father is getting her married off, but she's a Chereshet. So says the Torah, Yotza beget. She comes out with a get, which means that even though she's Mekudesha Mina Torah, and even though, right, she does not have any da'at, right? So therefore he says, since a woman does not need da'at for Kiddushin, which means you don't need her will or her consent for Kiddushin, right? So therefore, you divorce her. Number two, Ve'al Ketana Bat Yisrael, and on a Ketana Bat Yisrael, Sheniset LeKohen, that she gets married to a Kohen, which means here you have a Ketana Bat Yisrael, that she gets married to a Kohen. She's allowed to eat Truma. The Ilu Chereshet, but a Chereshet lo achla, she doesn't eat Truma. So answers the Gemara, Gezerah Hashem Yachil Cheresh beCheresh. You know why a Chereshet that's married to a regular Kohen does not eat Truma? Because it's a Gezerah. Maybe now, right, she's going to get married to a Cheresh, which means usually one species finds another species. So a deaf mute will get married to another deaf mute. That's what usually happens. So it says over here, maybe Be'emet a Kohen Cheresh is going to get married to a Cheresh, and this is going to be a Sur. So therefore, since because of that, we made a decree that a Cheresh can never eat Truma. Because if you're going to let her eat Truma, if she got married to a regular person, maybe she's going to get married to a Cheresh, Kohen, and then also she's going to eat Truma. That's a Sur. So says the Gemara, Velechu, what's the big deal? Let her eat it. Let her eat Truma. Why? Katan ochel nevelot. This is considered, right, like a Katan, which is eating nevelot. Right? What does that mean? Since a Chereshet is not badat, she's not chayav mitzvot. So she's like a Katan, it's not chayav mitzvot. So therefore, even if he's eating nevelot, there's no isur. Betin are not obligated to separate them. So do the same thing here. The Chereshet is eating. She's like a little girl. She's like a little. Even if she's more than bat mitzvah, she doesn't have. She's deaf mute. She's not 100% there. So says no. Shema ya'achil cheresh bepekach. Says no. Maybe the husband's a cheresh, and he's giving to eat to a pikach, to a regular, meaning this deaf mute got married to a regular girl. He is a kohen, so now maybe he's going to give to eat the regular girl, right, in Truma, right, and therefore, right, she is chayav mitzvot. So therefore, since he cannot give it to her, right, so therefore now she's going to be eating it. So therefore, we made a gezerah also by cheresh with a chereshet that he could not give her to eat as well. So ask the Gemara, the cheresh b'pikacha nama leichel mitruma d'Rabbanan. This is fine. Even if a cheresh that's married to a pikacha, remember, pikacha means like a pikach, that she's normal. And a cheresh is that he's deaf mute. So even by a cheresh, by pikacha, also they should eat truma d'Rabbanan. right? Okay, fine. But if the marriage is Rabbanan, let her eat at least Truma Rabbanan. Because Truma Doraita, Truma Rabbanan. You're right. Truma Doraita, you can't give her to eat. Because the marriage is not Doraita. But the marriage is Rabbanan. So the marriage is Rabbanan. Let her eat Truma Rabbanan. And so the Gemara, no. Once you come and you start getting her to eat Truma, it becomes very difficult to say, no, this Truma is Doraita, no, this Truma is Rabbanan, yes. Too confusing. Not allowed to eat Truma. That's it. Not allowed to eat Truma. Much easier than Truma Doraita. No. Not allowed to eat Truma. So ask the Gemara, Umayshna Ketana, Tiitla Ketubah, Umayshna Cheresh Delela Ketubah. Remember that when a woman gets married, she gets a Ketubah. Yeah, and actually just saw a beautiful chidush that the Ketubah is that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, it really should have been written Ktav. Ktav is something which is written, it's like a letter, right? Like a michtav. What's a michtav? It's a letter. So it's Ktav, right? It's a letter which basically gives you all the obligations from the husband to the wife. So they said really be'emet, right? When a person gets married, he's got the yud and the hey of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The letter yod and the letter hey of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Why? Ish has a yod, Isha has a hey. So you have the first two letters of the name of Hashem. As long as you have the Zahu, they have the Shekhinah between them. What about the Vav Hey? So the Vav Hey, they put it in Ketubah. When he gives her the Ketubah, you're fulfilling the name of Hashem. That's why they put the Vav and the Hey in the Ketubah, and they didn't call it just Ktav. They called it into a Ketubah. I just saw the beautiful Chidush. So now here though, right? That's why, for example, a Pilegesh is not of a Ketubah. Why? Because a Pilegesh, right? There's no name of Hashem there. Because it's only half of a marriage. And it's not a full marriage. Okay? Because a real wife has, Pilegesh is basically, it's like a concubine. A concubine. Okay? What's the difference between a Ktana that she has a Ketubah and a Chereshet does not have a Ketubah? If both the marriages are only Drabanan, so why is it that a Ktana Yitoma does get a Ketubah from the husband? And why is it that a Chereshet does not get a Ketubah from the husband? That's what the Gemara asks. Answers the Gemara, we're going to give it a Mudalef in the middle. Answers the Gemara, Tinken Nimnai Vela Nasbele. He says, if they would actually come and institute a Ketubah for a Chereshet, people would not get married to her. Because what? Not only does she already have a defect because she's a Chereshet, but now you also have to pay her if you want to get divorced her. They have to pay you to marry her. Yeah? So because of that, no Ketubah. Yeah? Right? We're on Kufyud Gimel Mudalef in the middle. How do we know that a Ketana does get a Ketubah? Tetana, we learned in the Mishnah, Hamema'enet ve'ashniya, right? Ve'ilonit, en lahem Ketubah. Aval yotza beget, the Ketana yesh la Ketubah. It says here like this, when a woman is a Mema'enet, which means she was a girl, and she's Mema'enet in her husband. Remember, Mema'enet is that she does miyun. She renounces the marriage. Obviously, she was married off by her mother or brothers, because if it was the father, it's the right. She cannot do miyun, right? So it's only by the mother or brothers. That's the Rabbanan. So what happens is Amimayenet or Shniya. Shniya is a woman that she's Shniyot Larayot. Remember, Shniyot Larayot means that she has a secondary category of prohibition of Arayot, of morality, which means there are certain girls, right, that you cannot get married to them, right, which is going to be Doraite. So, for example, you cannot get married to your wife's daughter. Yeah? Let's say, for example, the wife passed away. It was not your own daughter. It was the wife's daughter. So you cannot get married to your wife's daughter. What about the granddaughter, great-granddaughter, things like that? Or the or all these different things. So certain categories are called Shniyot Larayot. We learned this also in Yevamos, if you remember the beginning. We learned the Shniyot Larayot. So, en lahem Ketubah. They do not have Ketubah. Okay? I forgot the Ilonit. Ilonit is the one that obviously she cannot have any children. Aval yotza beget, but she goes out with a get. And a Ketana, yesh la Ketubah. Here it says befurash that a Ketana is a Mishnah in Ketubot on Kuf, right? Amud Bet. Ketubot is the next Masechet, remember? So it's written befurash that a Ketana does get a Ketubah. So fine. Okay. How do you know now that a Chereshet does not get a Ketubah? Remember, we're trying to find out the distinction between a chereshet and a ktana. At the end of the day, both of them do not have that. So why is it that a ktana could eat truma? Chereshet cannot eat truma. Why is it now that the chereshet does not get ketubah? The ktana does get ketubah. We keep on trying to find out the differences. So he says, how do you know a chereshet does not have a ketubah? The time was learned in the Braita. The Braita says, cheresh v'shoteh shenasu pikchot, a cheresh v'shoteh. So he's the mute, or he's a shoteh, that he got married to a pikchot, to a regular woman. Even though afterwards he became normal. That means they invented something, all of a sudden he became normal. He's able to speak, he's able to hear. Or all of a sudden he became healthy. He was beforehand cuckoo, and all of a sudden now he's okay. What happens? Which means the wives do not get nothing. Why? Because since there was no ketubah by a nisui cheresh, so therefore, right, there's nothing. Because at the time of the nisui, there was nothing. Even if he did write a ketubah, it's worthless. Because at the time of the marriage, there was nothing there, right? However, though, if he wants to stay married to them now, yesh lahem ketubah mana, right? So now all of a sudden they're going to have a ketubah mana. What does that mean? That means even though at the beginning of the marriage they were virgins, now, right, the chiyuv of ketubah falls now. So right now they're virgin. We see no, they were married to him. So therefore, they only get a ketubah b'mana. Okay, upikeach shenasach chereshet or shoteh. What about the opposite case? You have a pikeach that he got married to a chereshet or a shotah. So now the man is 100% normal. It's the woman that's not normal. Katav la me'amana. Even if he did right for her, if he do katav la me'amana, ketubata kayemet. Ketubah is going to be good. Because he wanted to damage his own properties, which means since he has the right, to be mitchayev mamono according to what he wants, even though the rabbis didn't obligate him to do it, if he wanted to, he could. So if he comes and he gives her a present and he gives her a ketubah, he's not obligated to, but he did. So it's a good ketubah because he's a ketubah. Yeah, he's normal. So if he writes for a ketubah, it's going to be okay. Ta'amad ratzah, it's only going to be because he wanted to. Halo ratzah, but if he did not want to, and la ketubah, there's no ketubah. Because if not, nobody would actually take her. So therefore, again, there's the same thing that we're saying. We want them to have people jumping on them in order to get married to them. Because if not, it would be a problem. So ask the Gemara, so pikacha lecheresh itake leketubah. Also pikacha for a cheresh also institute a ketubah. Why in the world would a pikacha get married to a cheresh? We were working always the other way. She's a cheresh. So in order that somebody should actually get married to her, if he has to pay a ketubah as well, why would he get married to a cheresh? He might as well get married to a regular woman, right? Why in the world does he get married to a cheresh? There's no ketubah. She's on sale. So some people, they go for the sales. You understand? So okay, it makes sense. But if he's a cheresh and she's normal, the opposite. You should obligate a ketubah in order that what? That somebody should jump on him also, that they should get married to him. So answers the Gemara. Listen to these words. Yoter mishayish rotze lisa, isha rotza linase. Who wants to get married more? A man or a woman? A woman wants to get married. And the fact that a woman wants to get married more, we don't have to make people jumping on the man. Right? We need to make people jumping on the woman. Because we know the women want to get married. Right? And therefore, that's why it's so important. And there was a cheresh that was living in the vicinity in the neighborhood of Malki. So Malkio got him a wife. So he wrote 400 zuz from the nechasim of the cheresh. Amar Rava says, Man chakim kera Malkio. Who's as smart as Rav Malkio? The Gaffer Rabbi. He's a dumb gadol that did such a thing. Which means, even though there was no obligation for the thing, he went and he wrote something. Why? He held, he held 1 second. If he wanted the shipcha to serve it, he wouldn't have bought her. He wouldn't have paid 400 zuz or whatever it is to buy her. The more so over here, right? That here he also gets a double thing. Not only does he get a shipcha to serve him, but he gets a wife. So he gets double. Yeah, 2 for 1. So that's why he had to pay the 400 instead of the 200. Yeah, makes sense, no? Okay. So he says, Eshet cheresh En chayvim aleh mishum talui, Hashem talui. Which means if somebody comes and accidentally had relations with her, he's not going to be chayav on Hashem talui on her, just like a Baal Safek Eshetish. Right? Why? Because the Kiddushei Cheresh is nothing in a Torah. So there's not even Hashem talui, which means like this. What happens if a person threw Kiddushin to a woman? Yeah, he comes, he threw to her the ring. And we have a Safek whether she's married or not married. Right? Whether the ring was closer to her, not closer to her, there's a Safek. So she's a Safek Eshetish. Somebody comes and accidentally has relations with her. Yeah? Whatever the case was. Right? Like we learned in Gemara, he fell off the roof. Right? Whatever the case was, he accidentally had relations with her. Yeah? So in such a case, we said over there, right? There's no Hashem Talui. Why? And Hashem Talui is only in Hashem, a guilt offering, which is dependent whether she's Bemet, it's an Avirah or not. Here, the wedding, the marriage of the is nothing. There's nothing there. So if since it's Mina Torah, there's nothing there. It's only the Rabbanan. So therefore, there's not even an Hashem Talui. So says the Gemara, why don't we just say that this is actually a proof from a Mishnah? Mishnah Trumot, Aleph says, Chamisha lo yitrom. There are 5 that they cannot give truma. Vim tarmu, but if they did give the truma, and truma, it's not good truma. And these are the 5. Cheresh, shoteh v'katan. So this is always the chashu, right? Cheresh, shoteh v'katan that we always speak about, right? The deaf mute, a shoteh is a person that's not capable, he's not 100% there, and a katan, a minor, right? That torem sheno shelo. Or if you're going to give somebody else's. So imagine I'm going to come and I'm going to give no, Natanel is the Levi, he gets certain things, but okay. But the truma you don't get, right? The truma you give to the Kohen. So what happens is I'm going to come take from his property to give truma to the Kohen. So torem al sheno shelo. It's not mine, right? That means he didn't tell me to take off the truma.
For me or for you?
Not for you. I did for you, but you didn't tell me to do it, so it's not considered truma. Ve'oved kochavim shetaram shel Yisrael, or a goy that comes and he's taram from the fruits of Yisrael, afilu b'shut Yisrael, even though it's with the permission of the Yisrael. Right? Why? Because, right, in such a case, he's a shliach for the Balim, there's no shlichut. So, en truma to truma. In these 5 cases, remember, chashu, torem al sheno shelo, which means that you're being torem, that's not, you don't have the permission to give the truma, or a goy that's giving for your, even with your permission, it's not considered a truma. So now, it's brought down here, you see, that a cheresh, which is torem, en truma to truma, and therefore it's mutar to zarim, so a stranger could come and eat this truma. So you see from here that we're not going to suspect that he's a ben dat. There's nothing here. So therefore, this is a proof that the marriage is nothing. So says the Gemara, Hu de'amar ke'Rabbi Elazar. He says, no, maybe he looks like Rabbi Elazar. The Tanya was going to write that Yitzchak Omer Shum Rabbi Elazar. That's the name. Trumat cheresh lo tetzeh lechul im neshul safek. Even a trumat of a cheresh should not go out for chuli. Why? It's a safek. Maybe it is a good truma. So because of that, you're right. Maybe it's not good. But it's not that it doesn't just stumble out to fully. You can't just make it mundane and that's it. You have to still give it again or something. But it doesn't just go like that. So it's here like Rabbi Elazar. So he says, 1 second, but it feels like Rabbi Elazar. So Hashem Talui Namei Chayav. So for it should also be an Hashem Talui Chayav if somebody went with his wife. Because then that means that maybe we're going to suspect that the Kiddushin is a good Kiddushin. Answers the Gemara, Ba'inan Chaticha Mishte Chatichot. In order to be Mechayev, Hashem Talui, the safek has to be 1 piece out of 2 pieces. So, for example, you have 2 pieces of meat. One of them is chelet, which is prohibited to eat, prohibited fats, and one of them is shuman, which is permitted fats. Now, you ate one of them. You don't know which one. So now you have to bring in a Hashem Talui. Because maybe you did that. Maybe you didn't do that. You ate 1 piece. And 1 piece was for sure prohibited fats. 1 piece was permitted fats. So you don't know which one. You don't know, it got confused. You don't know which one's which. You ate 1. So you have to bring in a Hashem Talui, right? But if you only have 1 piece in front of you and you ate it, and then you have a doubt whether you ate something which was just permitted or prohibited, you don't bring in a Hashem Talui. You know, that's halacha. So it means by a Hashem Talui, it's only if you have 2 pieces in front of you, you ate 1, and one of them was prohibited, and you don't know which one was the prohibited one, which was permitted one. So it's chaticha achat, nishteh chaticha. But if you only ate 1 piece, there was only 1 piece in front of you, and now they came to tell you, by the way, I don't know what that was. Was that chelet shema? You don't have to bring in a Hashem Talui. But that's what's brought down in the halacha. Okay, they bring, but it says, the milah mitzvot is written with a vav, right? So he says, Rabbi. So it's mashma 1 out of 2 pieces. So he says, so the same thing. If somebody's going to have a relation with the wife of a cheresh, even though according to Rabbi Elazar and Shemuel, it's like a safek yeshitish min Torah, Still, he's not chayav and Hashem talui because it's only one chaticha. It's only one piece, right? One piece of meat. Right? There's no two pieces of meat here, right? So says the Gemara, right? Chaticha acham shtei chatikot. Does Rabbi Elazar actually hold that in order to be chayav and Hashem talui, you need one piece out of two pieces? That's how we learned to the Braita. Rabbi Elazar says, koi. What's a koi? Koi is a safek chaya. Koi is a breed, right, which is a safek, whether it's a wild animal or a domesticated animal. Okay, we don't know what it is. It's a wild animal or domesticated animal. Now, the lacha is that by a wild animal, right, which is the chaya, the chelev, you're allowed to eat it. You're allowed to eat the chelev of a chaya. You're not allowed to eat the chelev of a behemah. Okay, so now, we have a doubt in this one animal. This is the koi. I've got a koi in front of me. We have a doubt. But you're allowed to eat the chelev. Chayavim al chelbo, Hashem talui. You are chayav on the chelbo, on the chelev. Hashem talui. 1 second. It's not that I have a doubt. What, two different pieces. I only have one piece in front of me. I've got the koi. Now I have a doubt in the koi. What is the koi? Is it a behemah or a chaya? If it's a chaya, permitted to eat the permitted fats. If it's a behemah, it's a sur. What happens? You eat it. You bring in a shantal liquid. But there's only one chaticha. There's no shtei chatikot. Hence the Gemara. You're right. Shmuel stavar keRabbi Elazar bechada, upal gele bechada. You're right. Shmuel, he holds like Rabbi Elazar in one case, right? That basically it's a safek whether he's ben dat or not, but he argues another case, which means according to Shitat Shmuel, you need chaticha acham and shtei chatichot. But he agrees to Rabbi Elazar that you're going to be chayav and Hashem talui by the cheresh or whatever it was over there, because he holds that it's safek kiddushin. So that means one more time. According to Rabbi Elazar, he doesn't hold that you need chaticha acham shtei chatichot. According to Shmuel, you do need it. But that's where Shmuel argues on Rabbi Elazar. But Shmuel does agree with Rabbi Elazar. With the other case, you are going to be chayav chatat and Hashem talui, on a case of the safek kiddushin by a cheresh. Some people say, now we're going to change Rikadam with the other version. Amar of Yevamos, it says Eshet cheresh chayavim alav Hashem. The wife of the cheresh, you are chayav on her and Hashem talui. Okay? So we're going to ask, Chamisha lo yitrom. Because remember, now that we brought the exact opposite Braita, now we're going to, instead of bringing it as a proof, now it's a question. 5 people are not allowed to do a truma. What was the 5 people? Cheresh v'katan, so it's mashma that cheresh is not of that. And so the Gemara, Stavala Rabbi Elazar, he holds like Rabbi Elazar that it is like a safek ben dat, and therefore, right, it's going to be a Hashem talui. Fine. So the Gemara is going to say now, but Rashi comes and he asks the following question. My time, Rabbi Elazar, what's reasoning of Rabbi Elazar? He admits that obviously he's got a very light doubt. There's a doubt if that mitzad dat is still considered dat smula or not. Meaning everybody agrees that a person that's a cheresh, he's not he doesn't have the IQ level of a normal person, 100%. But is it enough for something or not? Right? It's a minimum. Or maybe we're going to say that it's not tzluta. Uleolam chada datahu. Really, be'emet, it's pashut Rabbi Elazar. That really, be'emet, the dat is the dat of the cheresh, and it's not, doesn't change at all. Or dilmar, maybe meaning like this, does it change sometimes? Right, the dat of the cheresh or not? Or dilmar, maybe. Pshitale de tekishte. It's obviously that what? It's obvious to Rabbi Elazar that it's very, very, very kalush. It's a very weak dat. Velav dat tzluta, and it's not considered dat tzluta. What's reasoning? This is what I mentioned to you a few days ago, if you remember. There's such a concept that itim chalim itim shte means it's like bipolar. Sometimes they're okay, and sometimes they're like off the charts in a sense. So I mean, sometimes they're not normal. So that's the concept. Itim sometimes like et, sometimes they're chalim, they're good, right? Like betach lama, you're going to someone to become cured, right? The itim shotet, sometimes the shte means that sometimes it all depends. So the mind of coming, what's enough coming between the two different shittot? So he says, can you give a get? If you're going to tell me that he never changes his mind, meaning the mind does not fluctuate, so then just like the kiddushin, so towards the kiddushin, which means just like at the time of the kiddushin, he's got the same dat, so to the time of kiddushin, and therefore, right, it's considered dat slula for kiddushin, so it's considered dat slula for kiddushin, and therefore his get helps. But if you're going to tell me itim chalim itim shota, kiddushin matzim mekadesh, what can he even do? Right, during just like the time of kiddushin, he could be mekadesh because maybe he's 100% buddy. But kiddushin, he can't. right? Why? Because it's get, it's not a get. So what's halakha then? Right? Because according to Chachamim, if a chereshet badai is not mendat, so it doesn't help the kiddushin only the rabbanan. So therefore, for sure, right, he could throw her away with a get. Right? It's brought down the Mishnah. Okay? But him no. So he comes and he says, "Was a safek sekra? Maybe the Met does have that, maybe not. Maybe he doesn't have that. Maybe during the time of the kiddushin he didn't have that. So for Shnam Kodesh, it's the whole thing. So what's halakha? My take. We don't have an answer. Okay, 2 dots. Nishtatit. 1 second. Yeah, nishtatit. It says over here, nishtatit lo yotzi. So it says if a woman became crazy, he's not allowed to get rid of her. Right? He can't divorce her. Amar Rabbi Yitzchak says in Yitzchak, Dvar Torah shotza mitkanesh. Mina Torah, a woman that shotza, she could get mitkanesh. Meaning to have a pikach bal kuchat, just like a pikach, that it goes against her will. That means just like a person could divorce his wife against her will. There's only a cherem of Rabbeinu Gershom that he can't do it. Just like cherem of Rabbeinu Gershom that he can't get married to more than one wife, so too there's a cherem of Rabbeinu Gershom that he cannot divorce his wife against her will. Sfaradim do not accept either cherem, right? Even though even halachal maaseh nowadays, even according to Sfaradim, they try not to divorce against their will. But that was a cherem of Rabbeinu Gershom. Okay, which one? Yeah. So he says, just like a pikach bal kuchat. Why do we say that she's not megareshet? Meaning there was a din d'Rabbanan that we didn't want people to come. Now she became a shota. If she's not a shota, if she's a shota now, she doesn't have to take care of her. Nobody's gonna. What's going to happen? People are going to start using her as a harlot. Is that why? Because nobody takes care of her. This guy sleeps with her today, the other guy tomorrow, and nobody's taking care of her. And she's a shota, so she doesn't have a mind. She doesn't start thinking what she has to be centered and this. So she's a little bit, half. So because of that, he's not allowed to do it. Because at least that way he's taking care of her. So says the Gemara, what's the case exactly? If she knows how to watch her get, meaning that she can accept her get, and she knows how to watch herself from people, so there's no minhag get then, because she knows how to watch herself. Ela, she doesn't know how to watch, not even her own get, and not even herself. So then the Torah should come so she doesn't be mitkaneshet, because she has to know at least to watch her own get. Because when it says v'natam biyada, the katav lasot v'natam biyada, it has to be in her hand that she could actually hold it in her hand, that she could watch over it. So Amar the very v'natam biyada nishish layad legareshet etzma. Yatzazo she'la yad legareshet. She doesn't have a hand to watch over her own get. Something that you send her out, she's not going to come back. It's going to exclude this woman. She's going to come back and she's not 100% there. So I said, no, what are we dealing with? She knows how to watch over her own get, but she doesn't have to know how to watch over herself. So Dvar Torah, she doesn't be Garesh. Dvar Torah, that she's going to be Garesh because she knows how to use the Shmor Gita. The rabbi said, don't get divorced from her. So therefore, she's not going to get rid of. There's not going to be no hekba in haget care. Amar Rabbi right? So you can also deduce this from the Mishnah, because the Mishnah actually said to do with her, right? To do with a woman that she became a little bit crazy after the marriage. Nishtatit lo yotzi. Nishtatit, he cannot get rid of her. He cannot take her out. But what happens now if he became nishtatit? That means he became crazy. Lo yotzi ulamit. He can never get divorced. Ma'ishna, why do we say olamit? Why is it by the woman? We didn't say olamit forever, for eternity. By the man, we did say by eternity. So it says, why? What's the difference? Right? So he says, it teaches you that one is doraita, one is derabana. When the man becomes crazy, it's doraita, he can never get divorced. And that's why it says olamit. When it's a woman, technically speaking, doraita is good divorce. It's just a technical problem that we don't want her to become, like a kid. So since it was under Rabbanan, we told them, no, you have to stay. 2 dots. I'm Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri. Says Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri. What is the reason why a woman that she needs charsha, she becomes a chreshet, she goes out, and a man that becomes a chreshet, he cannot take out, he cannot divorce. So we asked the question. There was a doubt, right? Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri, ish pshita levi shaka mebaile, or dilma isha pshita levi ishka mebaile, which means this. When Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri, it was pashut for him the din of an ish and charesh, that he cannot come and divorce his wife because he doesn't have that. And on the woman, he had a doubt whether yes or no, can he divorce her against the woman. Or Dilma means the opposite. A woman, it was pashut, right? That the girushin is a girushin, right? Because you don't need that, the woman. And on the man, he is asking the question, can he divorce her? So Tashema, we're going to come and we're going to bring a proof. Right? We're the camera since they told him, there's no differentiation between a man that's divorcing and a woman that gets divorced, because a woman, she goes out whether it's whether it's willingly or not willingly. And the man only goes out, meaning only divorces willingly. Shmamina ish comes by. So the entire suffix was by the woman, the man, not by the woman. Meaning, by the woman was pashut that he could divorce her even though she becomes a chereshet, because she doesn't need that to get divorced. He divorced her even against her will. There's no problem. But the question is by a man. So says Gina Adam, since we just said immediately afterwards that even an isha pikrit that got married and then itcharsha is just like the same halacha, right? Just like a chereshet that she got married from the father, that it's kiddushei Torah. But remember, the father gets her married off, it is no right. And then she's going to get yotzava get. Shmamina isha kenivelis. The problem is that was by the woman. So it says the Gemara, you're right. And Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuni divrei kamli. Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuni was asking the shitatam of chachamim, and he says like this: Ledidi, according to me, just like a man, if he becomes a cheresh, he cannot. I mean, he was normal. He became a cheresh, he cannot divorce. So to a woman cannot become divorced if she becomes a cheresh. But according to you guys, what's the difference between a man or a woman? Amrulei, we said no. And there's no, you can't compare the two cases. There's obviously a man needs that in order to get divorced, but a woman does not need that in order to get divorced. Two dots. Either Rabbi Yochanan ben Guguda came and he testified, right, about a chereshet that the father got her married off, that she goes out with a get. Amar Rabbi, when it says, right, from the edut of Rabbi Yochanan we learn, Amaleh edim. What happens if a person says edim? Look at this get that I'm giving to my wife. The Elmaleh tells her, right? That means basically the woman did not hear from the husband, right? The words of the edim. So she thought that he's giving her a shtar chol, and really by met it was a get. So he tricked her, right? He came and he said, "Take this document, right? It's a debt document." So she takes it, right? And really by met it was a get. So what happens? She's divorced, right? That means even though she didn't know it was a get, she's divorced. Doesn't Rabbi Yochanan say that we don't need her that? Which means, what do we care? So you're right. She was tricked into it. She accepted it, but it doesn't matter. What do I care? Says the Gemara, so 2 years you don't need her that. So says the Gemara, Shita, obviously. So then why do we need this then? Obviously, a woman does not need that for Genushin. So what was the chidush? Says no. I would have thought to say, the fact that he changed his words and said that this is a shtar chol, he actually annulled the get, because he's saying that this is a shtar chol and he's not a get anymore. Kamashmanan comes teach you, if he would have annulled it, he would have already told the edim the same thing. But the fact that he didn't tell that to the edim, and he told the edim, watch, I'm giving the get to my wife, he didn't annul it at all. So why did he say that? He was embarrassed. He didn't want to tell her that he's giving her a get. He was embarrassed to tell it to her. So he just gave her the paper. This is a debt document. She accepts it. She opens it up. What? But he already gave it to her. And that's it. And then he's already divorced. Right? He got out of it. Now the Gemara is going to go to a new topic, right? To bring a raya from the Mishnah. And it says, once it happened, he lost a key of the Bet HaMidrash. The Shut Rabim on Shabbat. Now, obviously, we know you're not allowed to carry anything on the Shut Rabim. Atta looking at the Rabbi Pidat, he came in front of Rabbi Pidat. He asked, what's he supposed to do? Yeah. So he says, right? Now he didn't know what to do, but he had it in the Shut Rabim. So he comes in front of Rabbi Pidat. Elmaleh, he tells him, Zil, right? Devar, Tali v'Talia, Elitai Yuhat. Right? Go take to their children, right? Tali v'Talia, right? Or Yeladim v'Yeladot, right? Like a young boy and a young girl, little children. Because if they're going to find it, they're going to bring it to you. Which means you understand the trick. You take little boys and girls there, they're going to start playing around with Shut Rabbi. The second they find the key, they're going to come, they're going to bring it to you, and then you have it. So Almas, you see from here, Kasavar that he holds, that if a child is coming and eating the velot, so the bedin are not obligated to come and stop them. Because here you're putting the children there. And you know already the children are going to come, pick up the key, and bring it to you. So why don't we just say that there's a proof? Because it says the person should not come and take a tinok and say, bring me this key or bring me this chotam, but rather you leave it over there. And if they're going to bring it to you, so then we're going to see this tomorrow.